I think many foreigners misunderstand the true meaning of hentai. As a Japanese, I will teach you that I know the etymology of hentai. Cute girls all over the world are now playing role-playing Ahegao while cosplaying. The tendency to bring the world of eroge to reality is good or bad. What about that phenomenon? The masturbation is called sensory in old Japanese slang. Isn't the guy who likes sensory satisfied with pornography, hentai images and videos on the internet? Since I was born in 1983, I naturally came into contact with Japanese tokusatsu heroes, anime, games and manga. I saw Sailor Moon in real time when I was 9 years old. Naturally, I'm a child, so I've been exposed to these works regardless of the hentai idea. I just enjoyed anime and manga because they were so interesting. Isn't it normal for one kid? In other words, my interest in Japanese anime, manga, and games, and my sexual interests were almost irrelevant to me. Of course, I wasn't completely sexually uninterested in them. When I was in elementary school, I often played sensory while watching manga and movie bed scenes. But I rarely had a sexual interest in a beautiful, real-life movie actress. But I still love Sharon Stone's Basic Instinct bed scene. I still like cowgirl position because she has no sin, but that scene of Sharon. Oh, I derailed a little. Nijigen's love for the heroine was for me, the head of real girls. But I was a child, so I had no knowledge. I misunderstood that anime, manga, and games like those created in Japan have similar works in the world. Until the Internet Society, I never knew that the history of Japanese subculture was a rare event in the world. For a period of time, Japanese media treated otaku as an abnormal person. Sadly, my parents also thought that otaku like me was an abnormal guy like the media. I started writing novels when I was 7, and started drawing manga when I was 8. And from the age of 10, I started composing and lost my interest in real girls. There were about 30 real girls I had a faint love with, but like many boys, nothing developed with them. Okay, finally, about the etymology of hentai. I don't know too old Japanese history, but at least until about 100 years ago, hentai in the sense of metamorphosis, or transformation, has nothing to do with sexuality. There's a wonderful work called Mizu no Hentai by Japanese composer Michio Miyagi, which means transformation of water. I don't know why, but maybe after World War II, hentai became a Japanese slang meaning pervert. When we hear hentai, we Japanese still think that it means pervert. But for some reason overseas, the word hentai has become a more distorted meaning to the Japanese. In the first place, there are many Japanese who do not know that hentai is now an international language, or that hentai is becoming an international language. By the way, a similar slang has Ecchi, because hentai's acronym H can only be pronounced Ecchi by the Japanese. Yet, Japanese people really can't speak English. There is also the aspect that a unique culture was born because of that. People in other Asian countries often speak English. Now, financially, Japan is losing to other Asian countries, and culturally. The anime director, Mamoru Oshii, who I admired for Ghost in the Shell and Pat Labor, said in an interview, Japanese animation is no longer able to create a worldview. There are only characters and stories. And he also said, the ages of the leading animators in Japan are over 40. And now there are really few young Japanese people who want to become animators. Animators can only make money with their own skills. And no animators work until retirement. In inverse proportion to this, the number of young Japanese people who want to become voice actors is increasing. Of course, the chances that they will succeed as voice actors will be lower. The current Japanese subculture is gradually becoming unbalanced. The gradual decline of the Japanese animation industry is obvious. There are a growing number of talented young people abroad seeking to adopt anime and game formats, including Japanese hentai. If they create an anime or game that incorporates their unique ethnic colors and elements of Japanese subculture by combining their budget and technology, Japanese animation and games will no longer win. If that doesn't happen, Japanese subculture creators have no choice but to collaborate with overseas creators. However, as I said, Japanese animators and game creators can hardly speak English. This is a big obstacle. In this way, I professed that I wasn't interested in real girls. But even those guys may fall in love with real girls. A few years ago, I made an almost give-up confession to a real girl, but of course the worst result. I think it's better for a guy like me not to love real girls, because I became yandere for the girl.